Yeah, well, that would be good, because you said. Oh, okay. Welcome again. You know, trying to get word out to people about what's happening today it's a most amazing thing. It's a most difficult thing to do. On our website, I've tried to break down the meaning of what's happening in the sky today. Everything that everybody has ever gone to church and heard about is happening. Not in the way that it was taught in church, but it is happening in the sky. And one of the important things that we've been able to do here is to connect what's happening in the sky with what it's said in Scriptures, not just the Bible, what goes on inside of the human body, and bring them all together and show that there's a connection that is far too specific to each to be a coincidence. But who do you get to listen? And I understand, and believe me, I think everything is interesting, everything is important. People go to church, and I understand that. People go into New Age groups, and I understand that. But this is something that transcends New Age and transcends religion. It's happening. It's a scientific thing that was stated would happen in the Bible. I mean, every religion, you know, even in Islam, they talk about the third eye, the single eye. It's talked about in the Bible. It's talked about in Buddhism. It's talked about in Hinduism. Well, that's okay. And, you know, you and I we've listened to that stuff for years. Whether we go into study the religions of the East and they talk about that third eye, or whether you come into the Bible and read about it. But what happens when it appears in the sky like it is now? I mean, this isn't a picture from a New Age magazine. This is a picture from National Geographic. What do you do? This thing is not only has this third eye appeared in the sky, but it's on fire now. And the scientists say that the fire will culminate in this tremendous burst of energy that is expected to hit the Earth between now and the year 2002. Now, I don't just tell you those things because that's not fair to you, to have you running out here and say, oh, you know, that's what he said. I gave you the documentation from Hubble. I didn't give it to you from any fundamentalist or any New Age, I gave it to you from the scientists who are studying this. But what amazes me is most people are walking around doing the same things and have no idea what's going on. No idea. Mike was showing me a little while ago. I think that's up a little bit high. Mike was showing me a little while ago a magazine called Cosmos, which they showed the supernova, which this is. And then they showed the change in the magnetism as a result of supernova. What is it going to do to you? What is it going to do to your kids? What is it going to do to your family? What is it going to do to your neighbors? What is it going to do to everybody? Nobody knows. And so we continue to go and we lay hands on it, we go to church, and we do all of the things that we're told to do, whether it be in New Age or fundamentalism, and we ignore the most important thing of all, this energy, which is erupting in the sky and is fulfilling every prophecy from every religion in the world is being fulfilled right over your head in the sky right now and being studied by scientists. And you have the documentation of it. So as I look at that, and I look at all, you know, and I follow this, and every day you hear, whether it be on CNN or something else is happening, and now the predictions of this 2000, between now and 2002, this tremendous light that's going to come upon the earth, and I look at this, and I look at people going to church, and they have no idea this is happening. Most people in New Age have no idea that this is happening. Not a clue. The people that go to church don't even realize that the very Bible that they carry under their arm told them that these things were going to happen, told them, what did the Bible tell them to do? Did the Bible say, go to church? Did the Bible say, well, it's not, no, it says, what did it say? Look up for your redemption is near. As I say, well, a lot of people have trouble. You say, what the heck's the word redemption mean? And the easiest way to explain that is go down to Atlantic City, hit the slots, take your coins over to the redemption booth, and they give you the real stuff for the junk you got in your bucket. But that's what it says. It says, look up. Yeah. But that's not fashionable, see. It's not fashionable in fundamental religion. It's not fashionable in New Age because it's scientific. But this is real. But see, if you look up, then what happens? You take your eyes off of your leaders, your religious leaders, your New Age leaders. You look up, you don't see Deepak Chopra. You don't see Pope John. But you see the reality of your connection with the one you call God. And none of them know. None of the New Age teachers, none of the fundamentalists know anything about this. They haven't a clue. It transcends everything they've ever said. It's like the scientists who we've listened to for years and years and years telling us all the facts. But you know what? They just found out a couple of weeks ago there was a lake on the moon. So what did they know? Nothing. All of these years they told us it's a rock. It's not a rock. It's got water on it. So who is there to tell your friends and your relatives who are all religion and who are all Christians that there is no New Jerusalem going to come down from the sky? Who's going to tell them that? Who's going to tell them that there is no man coming on a white horse to take them by the hand and lead them to heaven? Come with me. We'll go to paradise. Who's going to tell them it's not going to happen? I will. But you see, the problem is the man is not going to come down and take anybody by the hand because the choice is up to them. It's not God that will bring about mass annihilation. The people on this earth are committing suicide. You know, how many of us have really gotten into the New Age and we're really getting into the stuff of the East? You know, and we got our chakras, and we know about all our kundalinis and all of this stuff, and it comes out of the Indians, and we put little things on our head, and we got little things, and we got crystals all. And who was it? The very people that originated much of this stuff in India. What did they do this week? Did they celebrate the glory of God with flowers and petals? No, they blew up 3 atomic bombs. It's great. Follow none of them. Follow the star. Keep your eye on the sky. Just you and God. Don't get involved with anybody. What is happening now in the sky is clearly taught in the Bible. But the people of religion, and even many of the people in the New Age, don't want to go any further than reading. Yet, have you ever, you know, I go nuts. People say, have you read this book? Have you read that book? Have you read this book? Have you read that? I got them all. And people give me books. And I like to receive books, but I don't read them. But you know what? They fill up all the shelves and they make it look like you're smart. Well, look at all the books he's got. I don't even know what they are. They have nice covers on them. They're all colorful. And they say, go on our house sometimes. Every shelf is filled with books. I mean, I'm thinking I'm going to sell them because they're all brand new, never been used. Who has time for this? And you know what? The guy who wrote the book or the lady who wrote the book, most of the stuff they heard from somebody else. Who heard it from somebody else? I don't want to hear that. But don't get involved with reality. Because if you get involved with reality, you're no longer going to be following your leaders or the church. And then what's going to happen to them? They're going to fall apart. And I just want to be around when all that happens. Because I'm going to tell them when they threw me out of school when I was a little kid. I told you. Guess what's going to happen? So the supernova, 1987A. Now, let's get ourselves, I hope you can get straight about this. It's called Supernova 1987A. It's in a galaxy called the Large Magellanic Cloud, in a constellation called Dorado, which means the fish. Okay? Supernova 1987A did not explode in 1987. It was seen in 1987. The light reached the Earth in 1987. It happened trillions of years ago. It doesn't even exist anymore. We're looking back in time. It's our time to see it. Other people have already seen it. There are people who live on other planets who won't see it for another 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years. And when they see it, they're going to say, gosh, I wonder if this is fulfilling what's written here. Where is this information coming from? Do you think there are aliens? And do you think there's an advanced race in outer space? And you know who it's going to be? They're looking at you. You are going to be the space people. Because it's going to be their time to see what you're seeing now. But you've got to pay attention to it. Let me just tell you this. I don't know what you do for a living. I don't know where you go. Because I don't social. I don't get involved. Nobody. You know, most people get really ticked off at me because I go to places I don't talk to anybody. Because I don't know why that is. But anyhow, that's the way it is. So anyhow, here I go. And I am trying in some way or shape or form to tell you, just so that you know, I have given you documentation from all of the leading scientists. Something is happening over your head that is going to affect your life between now and the year 2002, and it is confirmed by National Aeronautics and Space Agency, and I've given you all of this stuff. All right? You should pay attention to it. You should tell your children about this. You know, it is important because they probably will be on the earth with you when this light hits. This light is not light like this light. It is magnetism. It is the electromagnetic fields which change the gates in the brain. This is going to happen. All things are going to change. The age of enlightenment that you're in now, remember we said you as a human race were on this earth 500,000 years ago, and it took you 499,900 years to invent a light bulb. But after you invented that light bulb, you got very smart. This is the age of Aquarius. It's the age of enlightenment. Let me tell you something that's coming down the road, and you already know it. Very, very soon, they're going to have another great accomplishment in this age of enlightenment, which is seeing computers, and this one will be in the human body, and it'll be the cure for cancer. And that's a wonderful thing. But you know, most people die. A lot of people don't ever get cancer, and they die anyhow. And like Frank Sinatra's 82. You say, well, he's an old man. What's 82? You know what 82 is in the realm of talking about the universe? It's about 15 seconds. I mean, it's nothing. But we haven't learned how to live. Because for the most part, we listen to people who don't know. And they write books. And so, gee, he's got a book. He must know. No, because what they got from somebody else who didn't know. And everybody, I remember I've had a line that I'd like to share with people, and that is all we know is what we've been told by people who don't know. But we have to read. And yet, now there is something that's happening in the sky which transcends and goes beyond everything that has ever happened. There is not anybody who's ever written a book who knows that this is up in the sky and what's going to happen. Supernova 1987A is on fire. The eye is on fire. In the same way that the pineal gland of the brain goes on fire from a Kundalini experience or from the Seven Seals experience, in the same way Supernova 1987A is going on fire. And according to the scientists, and you have it on page 99 of the stuff that I've given you, that ring of fire in the center will be completely consumed between now and 2002. And it will cover the earth. Okay? Even that fire is predicted in the Bible. See, that's why I have a problem with gloom and doom predictions. Because when I look at this, and I have connected everything with the Bible and scriptures, I have no doubt whatsoever that this Supernova 1987A is authored by God. So it's good. Good things are going to happen. But you see, when they cure cancer, a lot of people are going to get ticked off. Where the heck am I going to get money? That's my job, taking care of cancer patients. I'm working in the laboratory. Now it's going to put a lot of people out of work. They do this. That's why you only get 10 miles to the gallon of gas, because it would put too many people out of work if they would let you get 100 miles to a gallon of gas. So a lot of people are going to get very upset. When all of this comes down and all of these things change, there is going to be a lot of conflict. But the beautiful part is this is going to be the correction point in the activities of the people and the human things of the earth. But whenever I pick up, oh, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, oh, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, it's going to happen, I got news for you. The people that are telling you what's going to happen have no idea that this eye is on fire looking down upon them and about to change everything that they thought. Everything that they thought. So the scientists, for all of these years, they put there, and teachers would get up and they'd have pointers. I was going to pick up the rain stick, but I'm not going to touch that. They'd point, and they say, well, this is the way it is. This is the way it is. That's the way it is. This is the moon. The moon is here, and the moon is here, and the moon is a rock, and there's nothing on the rock, and the moon is there. And everyone, oh, okay, well, that was a great seminar. That was a great lecture. And I got my book, and everybody goes down. And 2 weeks ago, they found that this guy was full of baloney. Didn't know what he was talking about. There's a lake on the moon 3 miles wide. Well, what do you do now? That means that everybody who ever wrote about it in the history of the world was wrong. And you can take that with everything else you've ever read too. Wrong. Now you are about to be taught by the supreme teacher, the universal I. It says in Psalm 46:9, which I believe is a prophecy connected with Supernova 1987. He makes wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He breaks the bow, he cuts the spear, he burns the chariots in the fire. Be still and know that I am God. Burns the chariots in the fire, changes everything from the fire of what's coming to the earth. That's the promise of the fire from Supernova 1987A. The eye is on fire. Be still and look towards it with your single eye, and then cause that which is the polarization from you to that which is the universal God to happen. This is the great Passover. In Passover, in the Bible, the Passover was the lamb. You took a lamb and you roasted the ram, or you roasted the lamb, and you had that, and then you had this time of Passover. That was the Bible. Well, that's silly. It is silly. Why, with such a great thing that involves humankind, do you have to have lamb chops? What is the difference? Why can't you have a cheeseburger? No, gotta have lamb chops. I don't like any of that stuff. Could I have fettuccine? No. Gotta have lamb chops, or the whole deal isn't going to work. This whole thing is screwed up if you don't have lamb chops. But that's the way we believe. But it's nothing to do with lambs. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It is talking about Aries, the ram. The ram must be roasted. In other words, the sun must consume the ram. And when the sun consumes the ram, you pass over from the winter to the spring. That's it. You don't have to eat lamb chops. I used to hate that stuff. I could tell, my mother used to cook this when I was a kid. I could smell it coming down the block. It's, I don't like that. We didn't have McDonald's then. But you know what we had then in those days? White Castle. Oh, yeah. Well, you could smell that a mile away. That was good stuff. I said, I don't want that. I want a White Castle. But you see, at the time this was written, the sun appeared to go through the ram, causing the Passover. So the story is a myth. Did any of you realize there was never 400,000 Jewish people running across a desert, across an ocean that opened in the middle? Do you realize that was a movie? How do you tell people? That's not true. See? But do you understand that what's talking about is coming out from the bondage of the carnal mind. When the sun consumes Aries, when the solar plexus consumes the pineal gland, then there is a way made across the Red Sea, which is the emotions, to the promised land of the higher realm of consciousness. Isn't that wonderful? In other words, it isn't something that happened, it's something that happens. It's something that can occur to you. How do I tell you this? This is really for the rock throwers when you say this. How do I tell you there was no Jesus? Well, what do you do with that? That is bad, say such a thing. That's blasphemy to say such a thing. What do you say, Reverend? Well, I say that there was a Jesus. And his Father, who is God, tortured him to death by nailing him up on a tree and watched him bleed to death so he could forgive you for going to Atlantic City and playing the slot machine. And I'd say, Reverend, that is blasphemy. God doesn't kill or hurt anybody. People do that. But when I say there was no Jesus, I can say that with absolute certainty because there is a Jesus. Not a man walking around with a sheet and a pair of sandals and long hair, but a cosmic universal light that dwells in every person, that bursts alive out of the fornix, circulates to the brain, and brings you enlightenment and understanding and wisdom and power and healing. It's just the idea of being able to grow up and say, gosh, I understand what the myth is about. But there was a crucifixion. There was a cross. And there still is a cross. And it's called the Southern Cross. And it's in the Southern Hemisphere. And when the sun goes through the Southern Cross, it is crucified. It is the shortest day of the year. Then it sits 3 days and 3 nights in the tomb of the winter solstice and rises out of the tomb on December 25th to rise celestially right ascend to sit at the right hand of power on June 21st, the longest day of the year. There is such a thing. So I learned what it means. I know the myth. I understand by reading the mythology, and then I found out what the myth means, and now I can be part of this magnificent creation, and I can be part of the wonderful story. And so the sun, time, went through Aries, and the Passover was through the lamb or the ram. And that's why they cooked the lamb and ram and lamb of God and all that kind of business. But something happened. By the wobbling of the Earth's axis, the procession moved away from Aries and wound up a little while ago in Pisces, the fish, and we had the fish. We had the Christ. But now, by the continuing wobbling of the Earth's axis, it has moved. And now the Passover has moved the sun, moved into Aquarius. And so it is no longer the Lamb of God that takes away the cold of the winter. It is the man/woman of God that takes away the cold of the winter. Thus, the celestial right ascension or movement to the right side, which happens in meditation and has happened through the Lamb or Aries, now is happening through the man or the mind, Aquarius. So we're right on schedule. Everything is right here. Everything's right on schedule. And that's why in the Bible, when they asked the Christ in the great prophecy, where shall we find the Passover? He said, hey, in Luke 22:10, when you see the man with the pitcher of water, that's when it's going to happen. When? When you see the man with the pitcher of water. What's he talking about? He was saying specifically when this great Passover of the earth was going to take place, at the time of the man with the pitcher of water, which is Aquarius, which is now. What shall I do when I see that? What shall I do when I recognize the age of Aquarius? Go into the house and go to the upper room. Go into the house, which is myself. Go to the upper room. I will meet you there. And when you go into the house, meditation, you go to the upper room, that's the movement up the seals or up the chakras to the pineal gland. When you do that, you impact the single eye. inside of me, in Aquarius, I'm doing that. Inside of you, in Aquarius, you're doing that. And you know who else is doing it? The universe is doing it, because now we see it in the sky. We see it in the sky. So not only has the Aquarian factor happened inside of each one of us, but it is happening in the universe as well. Don't you think it's a sign? And you look at me and I say, well, this guy's in a cellar that's overflowing with water, and Vito's in the sump pump. What the heck's this guy know? Do you remember when we connected 45, 55 to all this? We did it through the book of Daniel, didn't we? All the mythology in the book of Daniel. The furnace was there, the pineal gland was there, and the 45, 55 was there. Remember? I said, boy, wouldn't it be nice if I could get some confirmation that 45, 55, which is a picture of it here, is the place where they live, who are coming to the earth? You might be sitting next to somebody from 45, 55. Take a look at the person sitting next to you. So they look normal to me. Well, now you know they're going to look very normal. Do you see anybody from 45, 55? Can any of you see anybody from 45, 55? Can you see? And so I have a job upon the earth. And my job upon the earth is I work in the cable TV. And as you remember, I told you that I was working with all of these antennas and towers. And this year my job is to make sure that all of the towers are registered with the Federal Aviation Administration. And they sent me the tower registration for, what is it? Oh, they sent me, I thought you were saying something to me. They sent me the tower for registration for where I was working for 22 years in Bricktown. And I showed each one of you that, didn't I? In fact, I couldn't give it to you because it's privileged, but it was a Federal Aviation Administration document that I gave you, I showed you, and it was the one that I worked on for 22 years, never know it. And what was the coordinates on that, the latitude? 45, 55, right? Don't you think that's a little hint? Look again. Do you see anybody from 45, 55? You see, when you read the book of Revelation, it says in the book of Revelation, the power of the Lamb walking in the midst of the seven. The power of the Lamb walking in the midst of the seven was at the time. God, this thing. How do you write here? The power of the Lamb that was walking in the midst of the seven at the time was in Aries, but it's in Aquarius. It's moved to Aquarius. It's us. It's you. It's me. The movement of the Lamb power to Aquarius as the activity of Passover is just as it was covered in the Bible. Don't you? I mean, let me just tell you something. Do you understand what this means? Do you understand that you don't have to read another book for the rest of your life? Do you realize that you don't have to go to another church service for the rest of your life? Do you realize that all of that stuff is irrelevant because what all of them have been praying for and is now in the sky, looking down upon you, getting ready to go on fire and send the light upon your head? What else is there for you to say? Who knows? Who can you study that knows about that? What book can you find where somebody can tell you? The only thing you can go is go on the internet and check with CNN or go to NASA and find out what's the latest. That's all you can do. It's like the man, when they tell these people in Arkansas or Alabama or wherever they are, there is a tornado coming. What are you going to do? Go read about it? You're going to get in the hole. You're going to find out, what do I do in order to survive? What do I do in order to be able to deal with this? Well, I'm telling you right now that what I have given you is that cosmically there's a tornado coming. And it should hit you about 2002. That's not that long. It's a couple of years. Okay? Now, you should be concerned about your family and your kids and everybody should at least be told this. They're going to say, well, they think I'm nuts. No, they're not going to think you're nuts because what I've given you is not from any New Age or any religious group. It's from science, it's from NASA, and then you can show it to them. Yes, this is going to happen. What's it going to do? It's going to cause electromagnetism to fall upon the earth and things are going to change. It just so happens that it is predicted in the Bible and everything is fulfilling itself and through all the ancient religions that this is going to occur. You see, it doesn't take, oh, all these prophecies. It doesn't take any genius. I'm going to make a prophecy right now. Are you ready? February is going to be cold. Now, how do I know that? Because I've experienced it. It's the only reason I know February is cold, because I've experienced it. What I'm telling you is the people in 4555 have experienced supernova, which we call 1987A, thousands of years ago, so they're telling you, and they've written in here what's going to happen. If you choose not to pay attention to it, so that's fine. But it will cause disruption in those who choose not to pay attention to it. It is necessary simply for you to get onto a harmony with that light and through your meditation. That's all. And you don't have to come here to do that. Not necessary. But people, I said the other night I was in meditation, oh, there's not too many people here tonight. And Charles says, well, you told them not to come. Well, you know, the more people you get here, the more chance you are for snoring and everything. So, I mean, you know, you can do it in your bathroom or something. Okay. If you look on page 1005 in the Bible, in the book of Revelation, it says, you are worthy to take the book and open the seals, for you were slain and redeemed us by your blood. Now, this was written at the time of the Lamb. Okay? Now, what's very, very important about what that says? It's talking to the Lamb, or the Ram, and saying, you are worthy to open the seals. Remember David Koresh? And he was working on the 7 seals. He had no concept of what this was really about. He had no idea what this was about. But that's what he was working on. Now, how is the lamb slain? The lamb is slain by the power of the sun. Because the sun consumes the ram Aries. When the sun moves into Aries, that consumes, the ram is slain and we pass over. Now, the sun in your head is pineal. The sun is Leo. Leo is the lion. The Christ is the Lion of Judah. So it's all centers around the sun, Leo, the pineal, the lion. Okay? The lamb is slain by the power of the lion, because the sun consumes the ram. That's why in the ancient scriptures, I don't know, I didn't get a number of, you can find Exodus 29:18 in the Bible. It says, and you shall burn the whole ram upon the altar. It is a burnt offering to the Lord. The reason is because the ram Aries must be consumed by the sun in order for there to be a Passover. I mean, is this take away from your religious thriller from Cecil B. DeMille's Red Sea and Charlton Heston and all this to know this was all just a story? But a magnificent true myth that says to you, this is how Passover happens. The fire consumes the ram. That's why in Exodus 29:18 they put a ram on the altar and burned it. What they were saying in myth was the sun consumes Aries, and when the sun consumes Aries, you pass over from the winter to the spring. That's not hard to figure out, is it? That's not hard to understand that. That doesn't take away. In fact, it should give you, say, gosh, I understand this now. The fire consumes the ram, and inside of you, the solar plexus energy consumes the pineal. When the solar plexus energy, which is the fire of the sun inside of you, consumes the pineal, you pass over from the left to the right side. When the sun in the sky consumes Aries, you pass over from the winter to the spring. Okay. And then now it says because the sun has consumed Aries, the seals can be opened. Because the fire or solar plexus in you consumes the pineal, the seals are open. That's the 7 seals of the 7 chakras. Well, when we look at the supernova 1987A and say, well, that's the pineal in the sky, just like I have in my head, just like the ram in the Bible, Well, then when we look at page 99 of the material that you have, I'm sorry, it's not on page where? I thought it was 99. But anyhow, what I'm looking for, okay, page 91, there is from USA Today. I don't use any religious stuff. I don't use any New Age stuff. USA Today. And you know what it says? The deep space show is getting better. It is turning into a celestial ring of fire. Its light should intensify over the next decade. And my kind of evangelist, my kind of preachers, my kind of people that I listen to that I share with you is the Reverend Robert Kirchner at the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics. And Reverend Kirchner, isn't not Reverend Kirchner, but Robert Kirchner says, we are watching the hammer hit the bell. And this is something we can see happening in our lifetime. See? But this is the point. If we pass over on the earth when the sun hits Aries, the ram, or the pineal, and we pass over in our bodies when the solar plexus energy hits the pineal gland, don't you see what's happening now? The fire has started in the center eye of supernova 1987A. In other words, the pineal in the sky is now on fire, so we are now not going to have an individual Passover, not going to have an earthly Passover. We are on the brink of a cosmic Passover. And do you know what this means, folks? Do you know how you spent all of your life hearing about people getting bombed? Do you know how you see people in Africa starving? Do you know how you see people in India and all these places laying under boards and do you know how you see all the animals brutalized? Do you know how you see all the children? Do you know how you see the oppressed people? Do you know how you see all the cancers and all the AIDS and all the things? Do you know that's the winter of the earth? And you know what's about to happen? And I wish you could just get up and jump and shout and be excited. We are about to have a springtime come into the universe. We are about to go from the winter part of the universe to the spring. It is our time for Passover. It is our time to move out of the February of the universe and everything that was icy and everything that was hard and everything that was cold and everything that was dead. It is our time to move over into the springtime of the universe. The eye is on fire and the Passover is about to happen, and the Robert Kirchner world have told us this will occur on the earth at approximately 2002. You got about 3.5 years to Passover. That should be very exciting for you. Now let me ask you a question. Who do you tell? Because there's not a book in the world written about it, except this one, that they don't understand. And so here, then, the lamb in the book is actually Supernova 1987A. And it says in the Bible in Revelation 5:12, "Worthy is the lamb that was slain to receive power, riches, wisdom, strength, honor, glory, and blessing." This is the new energy that's coming upon the earth. Forget the gloom and doom stuff. When these people tell you all this rotten stuff, just walk away. He's coming. Boots is coming. You know? Remember they discovered that planet, fifth planet? What was it? Boots. They had the sickle to set the captive free. And you know who the captive that he set free, and who was the next planet discovered? Andromeda, the chained woman. The woman is set free. That's why you have women's lib now in Aquarius. That's exactly why it happened. What do you think? It's just everybody? Well, I think it's a good idea. So everybody did it. It's all programmed to happen. It's the time of the woman. And the woman is the spirit. And the woman is from where the birth comes. And the birth, do you remember we showed you the harmony of Apollo? You remember the harmony of Apollo that was designed by the Greeks and fits right over Supernova 1987A perfectly? Do you know that this part here is the place where birth, I don't know what the word is. So the birth canal right here is where the birth comes from. Piscus Vistia. To those who are written in the book, it says will come the harmony. It says in the Bible, if your name is written in the Lamb's book. And I always used to think when I was a kid, I didn't even know, they don't know who I am. What's my name written in the book? I could always figure I was going to die and have to walk up an aisle, and some guy with a white sheet is going to sit there and say, well, just a minute, what's your name? My name is Billy. I don't see it in here. Go to hell. That's what I thought. That's what I was taught. That's why I learned. That's what you were taught. That's why you're here listening to me. But now I know different, don't I? Because I know in the Bible itself, it says in Revelation 5:1, and behold, I saw sitting on the throne a book, and in the right hand of him sitting on the throne was a book written within, and on the back side sealed with 7 seals. So I know that in order for my name and your name to be written in this book, in the Lamb's book, that I have to be in meditation. And when I'm in meditation, when the energy rises up, it consumes the Lamb. That's the Lamb's book. And where does it rise from? It rises up the spine. It says sealed with 7 seals, through the 7 seals, through the 7 chakras. On the spine, it rises up and consumes the Lamb. It is in the Bible. I don't have to use Hindu books to teach. It's in the Bible. Revelation 5:1, page 1005. So to those who are written in the book, to those who are harmonizing, and don't forget, remember what happened December 11th in Innsbruck, Austria. Does anybody here know what happened December 11th in Innsbruck, Austria? Come on, you do. What am I doing here? You do. Look, what happened in December 11th in Innsbruck, Austria? You have it in this stuff. Right, thank you. Dr. Anton Zellinger took photon A, B, and C. And he killed photon C. It's dead. Bury it. Stick paper in its mouth, put it in a box. And we'll go and we'll have a service at the parlor because it is dead. Before he killed it, it was going beep, beep, beep. And they killed it. December 11th, 1997. Innsbruck, Austria, and you have it in here. And after they killed it, Dr. Zellinger was about to read a eulogy over the dead photon. And as he opened the book, he heard something. Beep, beep, beep. And he looked over, and there was the photon. The photon that was killed had moved over there. And Dr. Zellinger said, it works. And they said, Dr. Zellinger, how'd you do that? He said, I don't know. But we did it. But then what he said was very interesting. He said, you know what? He said, this could happen from one end of the galaxy to the other. In other words, you've always been taught that spaceships or whatever would have to come and travel the speed of light in order to come down here. Remember, you've always been taught that. But Dr. Zellinger said, no, that there is no speed of light because you just teleport the photon. See, if there's somebody sitting here next to you right now in this room from 4555, they don't have to go on a space shop to go back 4555. I don't have to go. Just go. Teleport. Gone. Back there, instantly. No speed of light. And that's what it says. Did you read in all of your things? Speed of light's 186,400 miles. It's irrelevant now. And if you didn't forget, you look on page 82 of your stuff, you'll see the diagram of the teleportation that was done in Innsbruck, Austria on December 11th, 1997. Quantum teleportation, it is said, and it all went. And you know what, we're going to do, you can read about it. Somebody came up to me this morning and said, because we have done so much stuff, and you've got 100 pages of scientific documentation of everything that I've ever said. I've never opened my map in this place without documenting it to you scientifically. You have 100 pages of it here, and somebody said this morning if I would spend time with any of you that want to and go back to the beginning and first page, whatever. And I told you this, that if you just speak with Joan, and we'll make arrangements. I'll come down here as often as we need. You want to come down here on Saturday nights, Friday nights, whenever you want to come down, I will spend the time, and I'll go over all the stuff with you, for those of you who have MITs, because there's a lot of neat stuff in there. And I know that by looking at it, a lot of it doesn't make that much sense, you know. So, you know, if you want to do that. Let me just give me another couple minutes. So let us think about all of this we just read in the book of Revelation, peace and honor and healing and wisdom. I'm going to tell you a secret. I'm going to tell you a secret. And just remember that of all the people in the world and all the people in the United States, okay, the only guy that was monitoring a tower, a transmitter tower, that sits at 4555 was me. Okay, so let me tell you. Don't ask me any more about it. How many of you have ever had a loved one die? Grandma, grandpa, son, daughter, mom, dad. I can tell you where they are. Alive and well. Many of them back. Many of them have residences in 4555. At least you know where they are. Make you feel better? No, it doesn't, because you think I'm completely nuts. But that's where they are. That's good. Don't you think that the creation power of the universe would never allow you to have such deep love and snatch it away for you never to be able to see it again? The light that is those people are back here in new lives, working out lives and, you know, make the earth what it's supposed to be. But the personalities that you recognize are there. And, you know, it's complicated only because we try to think of these things with a primitive brain. I mean, you're talking about teleporting. You're talking about cloning. What if I tell you about people who could take their arm off and put a new one on if something was wrong with it? Hey, Charlie, I think you got a heart problem. Oh, okay. Zip. Out and When you think of these things as being, you know, incomprehensible, just remember that you're thinking with a primitive brain. You invented your light bulb 100 years ago, and now you've gotten very smart, and you've got computers and everything. People in 4555 invented their light bulb 5,000 years ago. Where they are now is where you, or the people on this earth, will be scientifically in 5,000 years. So the things that, you know, you think are difficult, it's the same thing with Dr. Zellinger and what happened in Innsbruck. It is impossible to kill something and then have it come back to life someplace else 3 feet away from you. No, it's not, because they've done it. So you have to start thinking with whole different parameters. You have to start thinking in ways that even your books, no matter what books you have, no matter what books you study, there's not one of them that knows about what happened in Innsbruck. They don't know that photon. And inside of you, what makes your body work is photon. You operate on the basis of photon light. So that when the body dies, that's why I have a very difficult problem with executing serial killers or executing anybody that does bad things. You have an obligation to totally destroy the mindset of that person before it is dispatched out of this earth. Because when you just dispatch something as ugly as that, all you're doing is sentencing somebody else in a future generation to the same horror. It'll be back. And in the, you know, the very Bible that these people love. Two things, you know, have Christianity. And what do they want? They're all championing, we got to get prayer back in schools. Let's have prayer back in schools. Who's the guy that said you should never pray publicly? Jesus Christ. He said you should never pray publicly. He says that's hypocritical. Pray in secret, and your Father who sees you in secret will reward you openly. So they go against it. And when you talk about all of these different things, you have to realize that the very people, in Christian circles who champion these things are doing so not because Jesus said to do it, but because they said to do it. They're the power structure. They're the authority. But I just wanted to just conclude this. When I was talking a moment ago and telling you that wonderful things are about to happen on the earth, beautiful things are about to happen, they're going to cause some chaos because there's going to be some change. Just give me another 2 minutes. But beautiful things are about to happen on the earth for you and your children and your family and for the animals and for all the oppressed people. That's going to make a lot of people ticked off when oppressed people start having the same things that they have. But I mean, that's the way it's going to be. But when is this forecast for the earth? Consider the pineal gland as the lamb. Okay? Now, what did we say? When was this written? The pineal gland, supernova, okay? The sun, all right. Consider as the lamb, written in the Bible, all right? So when the sun then touches the lamb, right? Leo, the lion. Doesn't the Bible tell you about the lion lying down with the lamb? In Isaiah 11:6 it says, the wolf shall dwell with the lamb, the leopard shall lie down with the kid, the calf and the young lion, and a little child shall lead them. And the cow and the bear shall feed, and the lion shall eat. In other words, obviously you know that if a lion and a lamb meet each other, it's going to be a very quick meeting because the lion is going to eat the lamb. It's not talking about a lion. It's saying when the sun comes together with Aries, when the lion comes together with the lamb, then we're going to have this peace. If then the lamb, the eye, the pineal, is supernova 19A, and if the sun is the fire, it has now started on fire, so that the lion then, metaphysically, is lying down with the lamb. The two are together, and that is going to herald a time of great peace. It is the power of the sun rising through the solar plexus, which opens the seals. It is the power rising through the lamb Aries, which opens the seals. And you go through the 7 months from September to March and April, and you have springtime. Well, now the universe is about to have the same thing. So what do we want to do? How do we build ourselves into this cosmic scenario? Is there more of a connection that we can actually measure? And I promise you, we're out of here. But just let me, because there's some new people here. So those of you who have been here before, just bear with me. 1 second, I just want to show you something. Dr. Gary Toller at Goddard Space Lab said we only see 10% of the universe. You have 10% the left side of your brain, 90% the right side. You use the 10% as the intellectual. That isn't even true. But that's the way it's positioned. And that's the way it's positioned. It's always been in the book. But Dr. Toller said we only see 10% of the universe, 90% of it is hidden. So we figure on the basis of 10%, okay? Now, just let me tell you something. Inhale. Exhale. If you watch, it takes 4 seconds. That's what it takes. To inhale, exhale, average 4 seconds, okay? All right, now, there are 86,400 seconds in a day. Did you know that? It's true. Count them. Tomorrow, not now. 86,400 seconds in a day. If you divide that by the number of seconds it takes you to breathe, that means you breathe an average of 21,600 times a day. Pretty good? The diameter of the sun is 864,000 miles. Want to prove it? Look in a dictionary. Look up the word sun, S-U-N. The diameter of the moon is 2,160 miles. The distance between the Earth and the moon is 216,000 miles. The constant speed of light is 186,400 miles a second. Well, that's 186,400. You know how many years the sun is going to be in Aquarius? 2,160. So, you somehow, in some way, there is a definite connection between the rhythms and the measurements of the universe and the rhythms and the measurements in you down to a single solitary breath. Thus, when we consider the eye in the sky as the pineal gland, well, the I in us, there's even more reason to consider that we are a part of the being that is the universe. And the universe is a living being. And we are a part of it in the same way that a foot is a part of you, even though it may be far away from the center of the brain. We are a part of the center of the universe, which is the brain, even though we may seem to be far away. In Revelation 5:13, to conclude, it says, "And every creature which is in heaven, and on the earth and under the earth, and such as are in the sea, and all of them heard I saying." In other words, everything in life, everything breathes in a harmony that comes together with this knowledge. And I heard them saying, and this comes from the animals and the fish and the trees and the stars, "Blessing and honor and glory be unto him that sits upon the throne." And then it says, "And unto the Lamb forever and ever." And the Lamb is the pineal gland of the brain. And the Lamb is Supernova 1987A, which is currently placed on fire, the altar in the sky for all the world to see. And every eye shall see the roasting of the Lamb, and the Passover will appear upon the earth. And you can take that to the bank. Thank you. We'll see you. Bye-bye. Okay, welcome again, and I'm going to share with you something today that might be a little difficult for some. Over the past several weeks, we've been trying to bring a connection together of all of the things that have happened in the sky. And of course, the documentation that I've shared with you has always been from scientific journals, encyclopedias, but of course more recently from NASA, from the Flight Center at Greenbelt, Maryland, Dr. Burroughs, and Goddard Space Flight Center, and all of these places. In trying to make sure that what you have is credible so that you can reach a conclusion in your own mind, not in mine, in your own mind, as to whether everything that is going on now could have possibly been conveyed to us by an intelligence who may have had the same experience hundreds or thousands of years ago. What I mean by that is, what we're seeing now as far as the supernova that Hubble has shown us the picture of is this form that occurred approximately 167,000 years ago in the sky, and it is the single eye. And if you look closely at it, you can see this green eye in the center of this thing. But the point that we have to keep in mind is it's called Supernova 1987A because the light from it reached us in 1987. Now, what we have to also consider is that people who live on another planet at some other distant place from here would have or may have experienced this phenomena 1,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, and would certainly be in a position to tell us and share with us what are the results of this in the same way that somebody who may forecast a tornado, say, hey, this is a tornado alert, there's something coming to your town. Well, this is a cosmic tornado alert, and we've been instructed about it. Somebody said, there's something coming to your planet, and it's already passed by ours. So we can tell you, we're not prophesying, we're not being godly. We're sharing with you scientific information as to a phenomena, a natural occurrence that is going to impact on your people and on your thing. One of the things, and bear with me, the rest of you, because I've done this before, and I've done it several times, but one of the things that I shared with you to show you a connection was the interesting point concerning the breath. You know, the fact that there are 86,400 seconds in a day, and that the average breath, which is prana and in Hindu, is 4 seconds. And you can pretty well breathe, take an inhale and then exhale and look at your watch. It'll take about 4, it does take 4 seconds. Well, if you divide 4 into 86,400, you find that you breathe an average of 21,600 times a day. Well, Dr. Toller of Goddard Space Labs and the other scientists have told us that, like the human brain, we can only see 10% of the universe. That 90% of the universe is hidden. So we only see 10% of it. So if we apply that to the fact that there are 86,400 seconds in a day, and the fact that you breathe approximately 21,600 seconds, and take the 10%, an interesting thing happens. The diameter of the sun, and you look these up in a dictionary, you don't have to have any scientific book, the diameter of the sun is 864,000 miles. And the diameter of the moon is 2,160 miles. The distance between the Earth and the moon is 2,116 miles. And the number of years that the sun stays in an astrological sign, such as Aquarius, is 2,160 miles. So there's a coincidence there. It's curious. Not to mention the fact that the constant speed of light is 186,400 miles per second. So there's a coincidence here, but it's not a coincidence. Everything is like, you know, in a massive machine, and each wheel fits into the other one, right down to your breath. And I think that is an interesting and an amazing thing to me. And then, as if to solidify the wonderful connection between the human rhythm and the cosmic revelation, if you look in Revelation on page 1005, in Revelation chapter 5 and verse 13, it says, "And every creature which is in heaven and on the earth and under the earth and in the sea and all heard I saying, blessing and honor and glory and power be unto him that sits upon the throne and unto the Lamb forever and ever." And then last week, remember, we made the connection of that Lamb being Aries, which is consumed by the lion being Leo. And when the lion lays down with the lamb, we pass over. And in your body, when the solar plexus energy rises in Kundalini, the lion is consuming Aries, which is the pineal, and you pass over then from the left to the right side, from all that was old and cold to all that is new. And that is